In anticipation of talking to you today, I did some research, and in the last 5 days, every time practically the name Rove comes up, it comes up about a comment you made about Governor Sarah Palin. What is it about Sarah Palin, Governor Sarah Palin, that if anyone says her name, is someone like you, that it just explodes? Is that the media, or is that Governor Palin, or what is, or is that Karl Rove?
Oh, no, that's Governor Palin. Look, the head of a grassroots organization on her behalf in Iowa said roughly the same thing I did, which is not knowing any inside information. It looks to us like both this fellow in Iowa and to me that she's more likely to be a candidate. The things that she's doing in Iowa, showing up at the Iowa State Fair, running this ad saying I'm looking forward to being back there on September 3rd, attending a big rally on September 3rd, all signal to me that she's likely to be more likely to be a candidate at some point. I've never said she's going to declare on the 3rd, but I've said this schedule looks more like the schedule of somebody who wants to be a candidate than somebody who's just a celebrity.
But why is everyone so consumed with it?
I'm mystified. I'm mystified. Look, she was all upset about this, saying I'm somehow trying to sabotage her in some way, and that how dare I speculate on her future. Look, if she doesn't want to be speculated about as a potential presidential candidate, there's an easy way to end speculation. Simply say I'm not running. But instead, every time she pops up into the public eye, like she did on CNN at the Iowa State Fair a number of days ago, she said, I haven't made a decision. I'm just speculating that the kind of schedule she's keeping leads me to believe that it's more likely than not that she's going to be a candidate. Now, I said I wouldn't bet a lot of money on it because it's a close thing, and I'm not privy to her thought-making process, but it is a sign of enormous thin skin that if we speculate about her, she gets upset. And I suspect if we didn't speculate about her, she'd be upset and try and find a way to get us to speculate about her. So
I actually don't know if it's Governor Palin or not. I don't know anything about that. I was really reflecting on the fact that the media, as you mentioned the name Governor Palin. I mean, no matter what you say or Governor Palin, I mean, I have no idea whether she has even knows. I assume she knows that you said something about her. But why? What is it about Governor Palin that even the media can't let go of it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do assume when Sarah PAC issues a statement, I assume that Governor Palin authorized the statement so she knew exactly what Sarah PAC was going to say. But
I don't even know about that, but okay.
Oh yeah, that's where her comment came from, was a statement put out by Sarah PAC. But look, she's a potentially big factor in the presidential election. If she were to get in, she'd be a contender, as they say. She was the vice presidential nominee in 2008. She maintains a following. There are people who want her in, and there's some people who would be deeply concerned if she did, because she'd be eaten into their ranks. But she's a player, and so if she doesn't want to be speculated about, then end the speculation by saying I'm not going to be a candidate. Until then, I would just recommend she might get a slightly thicker skin, because if she's got this thin a skin now, when people are saying, well, I think she might be a candidate, how's she going to react if she does get into the campaign and gets the scrutiny that every presidential candidate does get? I mean, that's not going to be a pretty sight if she's as thin-skinned in the fray as she is on the edges of it.
The Sarah PAC thing, I don't know anything about. I don't know whether she wrote it or whether PAC wrote it or not. But it is just so extraordinary that I don't get it.
Well,
how her name gets mentioned, and everyone says she's still a contender. It's the most unusual sort of political story.
Yeah. Well, and look, it came from her PAC, and I assume that since it's a small group of people who run the PAC and run her operation, I assume that she was aware that they were going to go out there and say things in her name, Sarah PAC, that basically said, don't speculate about me, and if you are, you're an establishment elitist with no inside information. And I mean, I just thought it was a very odd way to react. And frankly, okay, fine. If you don't want us to speculate about you, don't be doing the things you're doing by showing up in a surprise appearance at the Iowa State Fair and running a television ad saying, I'm looking forward to being back in Iowa, and then going and speaking a big rally in Iowa. I thought that part of that was she wanted to get more attention to herself, but I guess that's wrong. I guess she wanted less attention, so she did those things. I don't know. It's weird. Very odd.
Could she get the nomination?
Yes. Sure she could. You could find a path to get there. Could she be a player? Absolutely. Will she be a big influence in Iowa? Look, think about it. If she were not interested in being a candidate, why does she keep going back to Iowa? She premiered her film in Iowa. She took and did a couple of stops on her book tour in Iowa at the very beginning of her book tour. She went there and talked about, showed up at the Iowa State Fair. She was the premier speaker last year at their fundraising dinner in September of last year, and she's going back there to speak at a Tea Party rally on the 3rd of September. I'm sure there are a lot of other states in the union where she could have previewed her film, conducted her, launched her book tour, and spoken to a Tea Party event during Labor Day of 2011. But it's Iowa, which ironically enough is the first contest in the Republican presidential sweepstakes. The caucus is the first week of February. So if she doesn't want people to speculate that she might be a presidential candidate, she's sure got a funny way of going about killing the speculation.
Should